Our history textbooks often provide us with a broad view of various events, highlighting significant personalities and important events. But on the vast canvas of the past, there are many interesting, lesser-known events that rarely make it into standard education. Today we will dive into different areas and uncover 10 historical curiosities that you are not taught in a typical school. Number 1. The Little Ice Age in Europe. The Little Ice Age had a profound impact on the lives of society in Europe. Between approximately 1300 and 1850 AD, the average temperature in the northern hemisphere dropped significantly. This caused dramatic changes in agriculture. Traditional crops could not be cultivated, leading to an increase in the cultivation of rye and barley. The lack of warm weather grains, such as wheat, caused periods of famine, which affected social stability. Moreover, the cold climate directly influenced the art and literature of the time. It inspired creations that reflected the frozen landscapes and struggles for survival, which stand in sharp contrast to the fertile scenery depicted in earlier works. Additionally, the River Thames froze over several times, leading to popular ice fairs. The remarkable Little Ice Age also played a role in limiting the Viking presence in Greenland, as the harsh climate made their agricultural lifestyle unsustainable. Number 2. Washington's troubled teeth. George Washington, the first president of the United States, is often depicted with a serious expression, an image that conceals his long-term oral health problems. Contrary to popular belief, Washington did not have wooden teeth. His dentures were made from a combination of different materials, including gold, lead, ivory, and even human and animal teeth. Washington had dental issues as early as his 20s, and by the time he took the presidential oath, he had only one original tooth left. His dental problems caused him significant discomfort and even altered the shape of his face. It is believed that this discomfort may have contributed to his relatively brief speeches. His inaugural address remains the shortest in United States history. His dental troubles also influenced his personal life and political image. In public, he often preferred silence, earning him a reputation as a quiet man. These stories about Washington remind us that even great historical figures struggle with common but fundamental aspects of human health. Number 3. The Great Emu War in Australia. If you think wars are fought only between humans, you might be surprised by an unusual conflict that occurred in Australia in the 1930s, often referred to as the Great Emu War. After World War I, Australia faced an agricultural crisis, which was further complicated by an unexpected enemy. Emus, large flightless birds, migrated inland during the breeding season and were particularly attracted to the newly cultivated lands of Western Australian farmers, causing significant crop damage. Desperate farmers, many of whom were former soldiers, appealed to the Australian government for help. In response, the government deployed a small military unit armed with machine guns in an attempt to reduce the emu population. However, the resilient and fast-moving emus proved to be difficult adversaries. Public backlash against animal cruelty and the lack of military success led to the operation being called off. Eventually, the government introduced a bounty system for each emu killed, which proved to be more effective. This peculiar episode in Australian history highlights the unpredictable challenges of agriculture and the conflicts between humans and wildlife. Number 4. The Dancing Plague of 1518. In July 1518, the city of Strasbourg, now part of France, was struck by a mysterious phenomenon known as the Dancing Plague. It began with a woman named Frau Trophia, who started dancing passionately in the streets. For an unknown reason, her solitary dance became contagious, and within a month, up to 400 citizens succumbed to this uncontrollable urge to dance. This dancing frenzy lasted for days on end. People collapsed from exhaustion, and in some extreme cases, even died. Reportedly, all participants appeared possessed, as if they were dancing against their will. Contemporary explanations range from divine judgment to overheated blood. Modern theories suggest mass hysteria or ergotism, a condition caused by consuming grains infected with certain molds, as potential causes. Although the exact reason remains a mystery, The dancing plague of 1518 serves as a bizarre and fascinating example of a social phenomenon and human psychology. Number 5. The not-so-glamorous life of pirates. Hollywood often portrays pirates as adventurous rogues sailing the seas with chests of gold. However, the reality was far less glamorous. While pirates lived outside societal norms, their lives were typically marked by hardships and early deaths. Life aboard a pirate ship was dangerous and filthy, with limited access to fresh food and drinking water. Diseases like scurvy, caused by a lack of vitamin C, were common. Additionally, pirates constantly faced the risk of fatal injuries in battles, storms, or maritime disasters. Pirates practiced a form of democracy on board, where captains and quartermasters were elected by the crew. This stood in stark contrast to the strict hierarchies of military and merchant ships. Interestingly, pirate ships also offered insurance, providing compensation for injuries. Despite the romanticized images of treasure chests and exotic adventures, the reality for most pirates was a harsh life at sea, often ending in violent death or enslavement. This realization deepens our understanding of life in that era and the consequences of choosing such a brutal way of life. Number 6. The introduction and resistance to the Gregorian calendar. The calendar used by most of the world today, known as the Gregorian calendar, was introduced by Pope Gregory XIII in 1582. It was a revision of the Julian calendar, aiming to align the date of the spring equinox closer to March 21st. However, the new calendar was not easily accepted everywhere. The change was initially adopted mainly by Catholic countries, while Protestant and Orthodox countries viewed it with suspicion. Great Britain and its colonies, including the future United States, did not adopt the Gregorian calendar until 1752. In Russia, it was not accepted until the Bolshevik Revolution in 1918. This led to a peculiar situation where different regions had different dates at the same time. The history of the Gregorian calendar's implementation is a fascinating example of how scientific progress can intersect with religious and political skepticism, and how these factors can influence the acceptance of new systems and ideas. Number 7. The hidden legacy of Mount Rushmore. Mount Rushmore, known for its massive sculptures of 4 United States presidents, hides a lesser-known history. Long before the mountain became a symbol of American presidential imagery, the area was considered sacred by the Lakota Sioux tribe and was known as the Six Grandfathers. In the Treaty of 1868, the U.S. government recognized the mountains, including Mount Rushmore, as part of the Great Sioux Reservation. However, the discovery of gold led to an influx of settlers, and the U.S. government failed to honor the treaty's terms. The creation of Mount Rushmore remains a controversial topic, highlighting the complex and often overlooked narratives of land rights and national monuments. Number 8. The misconception about Napoleon Bonaparte's height. A common historical misconception often portrays Napoleon Bonaparte, the famous French emperor, as exceptionally short. However, this characterization is mostly the result of misunderstanding. It was reported that Napoleon was 5 feet and 2 inches tall at the time of his death, but this measurement was in French feet, which are longer than English feet. In English measurements, Napoleon was approximately 5 feet and 7 inches tall, which was slightly above average height for Frenchmen of his era. This misconception was further perpetuated by British caricatures of Napoleon, which frequently depicted him as small to mock him. Although this detail might seem trivial, the persistent myth about Napoleon's height serves as a reminder of how biases and inaccuracies can become ingrained in historical narratives. Number 9. The original purpose of the Great Wall of China. The Great Wall of China is often associated with the idea of keeping invaders, such as the Mongols, out of China. However, its original purpose was not exclusively defensive. The wall also served to regulate trade along the Silk Road. During the reign of Emperor Qin Shi Huang around 221 BC, existing walls were connected to control migration and impose tariffs on goods. Guard stations along the wall function as customs checkpoints, where taxes could be collected from merchants. Although the wall had a military role, its function as a trade regulation mechanism reflects the complex relationship between security, economy, and state control in ancient China. Number 10. The misunderstood role of the Vikings. Vikings are often depicted wearing horned helmets and as brutal raiders from the north, but their story is more complex than the stereotypical portrayal suggests. While Vikings did carry out raids, they were also traders, explorers, and settlers. The Viking Age, approximately from 800 to 1050 AD, was a period of significant discoveries, with Vikings reportedly reaching North America long before Columbus. Archaeological findings show that Viking societies had a well-developed artistic style and engaged in farming and fishing when they were not exploring new territories or trading. The horned helmets commonly associated with Vikings are a creation of the 19th century and Romanticism. As archaeological evidence confirms, actual Viking helmets did not have horns. And that's all for today's video. Thank you for watching, and see you in the next one. If you enjoyed it, please help me grow this channel by commenting, liking, and subscribing. Hours of effort went into creating this video, and it only takes a moment for you to support me.